just now getting into this conversation about how jobs are affected by innovation. But something that David Nordforth and I have learned in our innovation and jobs seminars is that jobs are things that people get paid for, but that isn't necessarily what they're looking for. They're looking for meaningful work. It doesn't necessarily mean they are paid for it. It's remarkable how much work goes on in the country that is not paid for directly. Volunteer work is an enormous part of our economy, and I don't think anybody has really calculated how much of the economy is dependent on people deciding to voluntarily do things. This is not an argument that says people shouldn't be paid for their work. And of course, you have to have some income or you won't be able to live. But I think we need to think of this larger picture of what meaningful work is all about. So this is one thing to look for as you try to figure out how do we provide people with satisfaction in their lives. It's also clear that not all innovations produce jobs. And the reason for this is that if nobody takes up the innovation, then it may not create a business at all. On the other hand, some innovations remove jobs, in which case now you have people who are unemployed because of that. Another problem here is the rate at which jobs change. If you talk to any big industry, for example, you may discover that the jobs that are currently filled are quite different from the jobs of 5 years ago. And so one thing that we don't have is good metrics about how quickly jobs and job categories change over time. And if they change quickly enough, as they tend to do in information technology, then you have to start thinking, what kind of training should I give people so that when they emerge from the system after 4 years of college, or maybe 6 years, or maybe 2 years and a double A degree, what are they prepared for, and what if the jobs that are open have changed or will change after they've completed this formal period of education? I think we have to conclude that getting an education and then working for a career doesn't work anymore, and you need to keep learning. You need to be prepared to learn. You need to want to learn, and we need to be provided with the means to learn, which is why this notion of massive online open courses is so attractive.
I've actually been looking at it a lot, and I think there's a lot of potential there. And this is where I'm really inspired to try to bridge people over, to inspire people to look into building their own skills on their own using the internet. Thanks to you as a father of one of the internet. And now we are able to spread all the education and training on the internet and start building those skills. And this is the voice that, what I'm trying to get to is you can learn skills on your own. You just need a lot of self-discipline and self-motivation and passion and purpose to the meaning of what you want to do. And so that's one thing. And I know that you'd mentioned about how there's jobs out there where you make money, right? But it's not just money. It's more than that. There's freedom to be creative, to be innovative, and do what you want to do. And I think that's where I'm trying to get to. And how do you get to that when you are unemployed? Well, you go to the internet and you turn to resources that you can find, and this is what I've been trying to get to right now.
So there are some challenges here, because taking advantage of the internet for training and learning works as long as you have a roof over your head and you have a meal in your belly, and that's a big challenge. Those are very fundamental, so we have to think about that. The economics of massive online open courses is another very interesting thing. The universities often charge a lot of money per year for whether a four-year education. Stanford must be at $50,000 a year by now. And I noted with some surprise that John Hennessy, the president of Stanford University, was excited about MOOCs. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, you didn't do the math. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, imagine you have 100,000 people in your class and you charge $10 each. That's a $1 million class. There are very few professors who can claim that they have taught a $1 million class. If you generate $1 million worth of revenue, you can do a lot with that. You can have TA systems, you can have remote mentors, all kinds of possibilities, because the economics are so attractive and the cost per student is very low because the scale is so big. So although I don't mean to make this overly optimistic, I think that we have an opportunity here to change the economics of education, and that's important because we have to recognize that we need to continue our education throughout our lifetimes in order to keep up with job demand. What do the jobs expect of us? One other point I think important to make is that people learn best by doing things. They don't learn much by having you tell them about something. They learn by actually doing whatever it is they're supposed to be learning a skill for. Pardon me?
Would you say that maybe volunteering would be a really good opportunity to do it?
Well, voluntary work can help.
Oh, sorry. I just said that. Would you say that volunteering would be a really good opportunity to start doing the work?
Well, volunteering is one way to do that, but you're going to need a mentor in any case. Now, the Germans have a very interesting system which they have instituted, which involves both work and study. And what happens is that they literally are apprenticed to someone in a company where they are working in the area where they are learning. And this reinforces things in two ways. The first one is you understand why you're learning something by discovering how it's applied. And second, you learn a lot from just doing things, making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes. So there's a lot to be said for the kinds of apprentice-like arrangements. It sounds like we're back to the guilds. And those had two properties. One, you got to learn by doing, which is very powerful. And the second one was that it allowed for a monopoly, because if you didn't have a guild card, so to speak, if you weren't a member of the guild, you weren't supposed to practice a particular profession. So that was the negative side of the guilds, but it was an important method for learning new things. So I hope the internet can be a part of that story for us in the 21st century.
Sir, I was thinking that, people who are unemployed, I think there's a lot of time that they could be using to start building those skills on their own, and also giving them the opportunity to not just be looking for jobs, but actually going out there to look for opportunities where they could start building their skills on their own. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's pretty clear that if, in fact, there is a place for them to exercise those skills or to learn new ones, that's a good thing. But we have to have a place that's prepared to take in volunteers. I've been president of the Association for Computing Machinery for the last 2 years. We depend very heavily on a lot of volunteers, but I can tell you that in order to manage volunteers, you need a dedicated staff to manage that process, to guide them to what they should and shouldn't do. So to exercise the voluntary path still requires you to have a good infrastructure of people who are essentially dedicated and paid to manage this volunteer process.
I think I have one more last question. For those who have the time to volunteer and build their skills for themselves, I think it's for people to hear that it encourages people to want to volunteer, because it's going to help all of us. It's going to help people who want to build their own skills and people who need the help. And so I think this is actually a great thing. And the question that I had in mind is, actually, I don't have any questions. It's okay. It's yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about volunteer. There's an organization called Volunteer Match. They, in fact, have been using the Google Maps in order to let people zoom in to see what kinds of things can I volunteer for in this place. Mm-hmm. So discovering things that you're interested in that other people want help with is the fastest way of linking together a volunteer with somebody who's looking for help. I think the net can become a very powerful tool for making that kind of connection. So between that and the possibility of online classes, we have an opportunity to help people learn new things and become more productive.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vint.